shrewd negotiation practice on behalf of the customer, right? That how else do they know how to start off the negotiation? They know enough not to say to us, like, your price is too much, or can you give me a better deal? And some of them do. Remember, there's 3 ways to exert pressure in negotiation. You can start off by screaming and yelling and pounding the table and demanding what you want to get. And it really only goes so far. The second way of exerting pressure in negotiation would be to enable the silent treatment. And I don't think the silent treatment works extremely well for most people, especially in negotiation. Silent treatment is really the classic takeaway where a customer goes, okay, you know what, I'll go home and I'll think about it. And that's really where the I want to think about it comes from. That it isn't so much a perfectly designed tactic. It's leveraging silence. That the pressure that we feel as salespeople and as retailers, as managers, as owners, when the client walks away and we're thinking to ourselves, oh my gosh, they're going down the road, they're going to our competitor, they're looking at something else, they're going to go online, they're going to start shopping around. That's what the pressure of silence is when somebody says, let me think about it, because it's just the classic takeaway. And we can do the very same thing as well. In fact, we do when we present an offer to the desk. This silent treatment and the customer going to their phone because they're bored that you've left the office, and you're exerting that pressure of silence that they don't know whether they get a deal or not, can actually work counterproductive for us with respect to showrooming. And then, of course, the third way that you can exert pressure, and this is what happens when the price is too much, is begging and pleading. And so that's what I started this question off with, that I received, that the price is still too much. And I get it. And it is largely because customers just don't know how to ask for a better price. In my opinion, that they just don't know how to ask for the better price. So they just tell us it's too much. And it generally is more than their last one. So when we assume that, and we already know that is going to be the case, and here's the really interesting part. When we think about the transformation that the customer has taken in order for them to be able to get into the showroom and or even call us on the phone or email us for that matter, hey, what's your best price? In order for them to get to that very point, discovered your price online. They've looked at what cars are selling for, what they're all retailing for. They know, and I've said this before, that there is no way in a million years that any customer thinking about purchasing an automobile, regardless of their age, has not been online. Does not know your price, does not know what vehicles sell for in general. Even if just during the talking phase, and the research stage is the third step, remember, in the transformation process. The second stage, when they're talking to somebody who will support their decision, is that very spot where someone's going to say to them, how much did you pay, or how much do you pay, or what do you allocate for a budget on a vehicle? I mean, some of the questions that came in from all of you ahead of time right now: financing issues, trade-in value, specific features, comparing with other automobiles, trust. That one popped up, which I found interesting. How to get more for the trade, and customers are obviously asking for this. The nanoseconds that we have with somebody on the telephone and their attention is all over the map, how can we utilize the rapport building skills on the phone better? So feel free to text in if you've got a specific issue, a specific objection that you'd like me to address on that. Providing information, what information to provide, how much to provide, what do we do when we talk about price, how do we overcome the price shopping and issuing a hunting license, so to speak, and watch them go down the road. On the phone, providing too much information. This is a great question. Obviously, we need to pique interest as much as possible. And of course, we want to attract as much business as we can. by providing the right information, but we need to leave just enough out that creates our attractive character, provides a hook so we can magnetize the people to us. So that was a good question. Highlighting key features, handling objections, answering questions on the phone, of overcoming objections, setting appointments. That was top of mind for everybody. I'm sure it is for everyone. Feel free to reach out and text in your response, or you can use your microphone. Just raise your hand and you can unmute yourself to use your mic if you have one. Getting appointments is absolutely crucial to our success, unquestionably. Setting specific times, confirming those times with individuals. Today, in today's day and age, because technology is in our hands and so mobile, confirming those appointments can't be done frequently enough, in my opinion. But you can automate a lot of that. You can create email templates. You don't have to dream up the content of what you can say. I would just drive you to ChatGPT in order to come up with a very succinct, brief, quick and to the point, then a swipe file on your desktop where you can access this information quickly and easily, and you can send that out. If you have figured out how to use the scheduler and the scheduling function of your email delivery service, then it will make it a whole lot easier so that you don't have to map it out. And of course, if you use something like Calendly for a customer to book time in your calendar, those reminders will go out automatically. We'll talk about that. Follow up and confirmation, crucial. Closing on the call. I don't think many of us experiment with that, and there is an opportunity, a terrific opportunity for you to close the customer on the call right now. Because we haven't had tremendous success with it, don't hesitate to ask for the sale on the phone, because a lot of customers do not want to come into the showroom. Now, take that with a grain of salt. When I say a lot of customers, I'm talking about 20%, 25%. I'm not seeing numbers like we saw during the inventory shortage because of the pandemic protocol, and I am seeing a rise because of digital advertising. And digital advertising reaches out so well into the field, so easily being in our hand, that customers could be calling from a different region and a different marketplace that are geofenced by Google and AutoTrader and Car Pages, but are not geofenced by Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, if in fact you're using Marketplace or you're posting any of your material there. So just another reason for you to be well aware of how digital advertising in the platforms are able to reach other marketplaces. I'm not advocating that you reach out to other marketplaces and disturb other marketing areas, but that is becoming very, very difficult for advertisers to control and limit, and even more difficult for our OEs and manufacturers to have their specific marketplace. So just keep that in mind. What I'm talking about here is asking for the sale on the telephone call. And there's nothing wrong with it. It could open the door for a dialogue and a discussion on negotiation when the price is top of mind for them. I think that's the most important thing going. So if you're experiencing some challenges with price, always remember this. Number one, that the customer has taken a transformation, and my steps go up because it's energy that they put into this. So by the time they get to you, they are so ready to make this decision. They are so fired up. They're so charged up. They're so excited. They may not be showing that. And always remember, when they reach out to you, this is a very intentional buyer. So the intentional buyer is generally responding to three motivations: desire, fear, and pain. Generally responding to pain, but could be primarily driven by desire. In either case, that is the reason why they're saying it's too expensive. And to really overcome the price objection, we need to find out the hot buttons. Why do they want to do this? And that, again, our first gut reaction is when somebody says, either in person or on the phone or in an email, or for that matter, if you're reaching out to harvest your prospects and you're talking about unintentional buyers, price is definitely going to eventually pop up. And even when the price is 40%, 50%, 60, 100%, 200, 300% higher, always recognize that the customer has seen, read, or heard something about pricing, unless they are the unintentional buyer, the individual who you have contacted just called right out of the blue, sent an email right out of the blue, and caught them at that opportune moment where they would say, yeah, I would consider dealing my vehicle if the price was right. When the price is too much, the objection handling formula, what it does is it accomplishes 3 critical questions. Number 1, are you suggesting that the price is too high because, or that you want to think about it, or that you want to sleep on it, or that you'd like to talk to your parents or your spouse or your coworker or your mechanic about it? Isolate and verify what they would agree to, what they are happy about. And that is getting them in a yes frame of mind. All of these are the things in the objection handling formula that you can isolate and refine and very quickly and easily ask, would that stop you from buying the vehicle? Now, you may feel like you don't have a really cooperative relationship. And at that point, from the buyer behavior, the assertive, the talkative, the listener, and the enthusiast, if you can't mirror and match their behavior, and you still feel like there's friction between the two, if you feel there's friction, there is. So shift gears, step away from the equation, bring somebody else into the relationship that certainly can, and then allow that relationship to flourish and build and develop. And the price that the customer is going to share with you, and because this one came up so frequently, I'll spend the most amount of time on it. The price that you need to find out where that price is unacceptable. Is it unacceptable from a budget standpoint? Is it unacceptable from their vehicle to the new vehicle, which simply means that your product presentation and building the value bridge wasn't complete or is not complete. And now I would simply encourage you to go out and do another presentation or a presentation on a different vehicle. If in fact you find out that their budget is determining whether the price is acceptable or not, now we need to go and show them what their budget will buy them. You see, what the customer wants us to do is simply bring the new vehicle price into their budget. Wouldn't you? That's the perfect scenario. That is the easiest way to sell anything and buy anything. And this is the reason why I think so many customers come into us with, for the same price or even less, I want to lower my payments, I will buy your new vehicle. And of course they would. Anybody would. That only makes sense that they will. What I can help you with right now is this is what your budget will yield. Don't be surprised on the other side of the equation, because this has happened to me and to others frequently when they look at it and they go, yeah, I don't know why I keep buying that trim level and that truck and that particular model. This is really all that I need. And maybe they were already thinking about it when they were coming in. How would we ever know when they say, I want to think about it, unless we refine these steps? Take the time, slow ourselves down, be in that positive mindset that the customer has thought about it, talked about it, researched the marketplace. They have looked at it when we were closed or at the car show or in a parking lot somewhere, and now they're here to buy. I am not going to let them leave. I would be letting them down. Let's talk about how trade-in values are also, because this one came up, how to get more for trade-in values. Number 1, is it that we need to get more for trade-in values, or does the customer need to recognize that they don't get the same trading their vehicle in as they would receive if they were to sell it privately? So here's again where they become a shrewd negotiator. When they say, is that all I can get for my trade? Or that's ridiculous. I'd never accept that as a trade-in. You guys are criminal. You're crooks. This is ridiculous. At that point in time, you can leverage Facebook evaluates an automobile to be. Now who's the bad guy? The bank is. And you can show them through math how we actually arrive at the number that their vehicle is going to be worth. How does anybody question your trade appraisal when it's science? Now, they're all going to question your trade appraisal when you just do one of those. Of course they will. You're not putting enough effort in it. Second part of the equation is, when you are doing a trade appraisal and the vehicle looks worn, tired, because it is dirty, are you sharing with them, this is not the best impression for me to see your vehicle in? If you're struggling with trade-in values and you're going out and looking at a turd, then how on earth do you expect that turd to become a silk purse by the time your used car buyer, your used car manager walks out to it? If you're the manager listening to this session as well, you should be saying to your sales team, look, when you're booking somebody on an appointment, you know a trade-in is coming in, spin it to your advantage, spin selling, spin it to your advantage such that the advantage is your customer doesn't get to meet the bad guy. You don't need to be the bad guy. The bad guy is not your dealer. It's not your manager. It's not you. The bank is the bad guy. The auction house and the better deal elsewhere on the trade-in, well, that's a double-sided sword. Because on the one hand, you can't ask them where that better deal is. On the other side of the equation, it's probably a line. It's probably not true. But here's the thing. Stop them in their tracks. Don't tell me. Don't tell me what that better deal is down the road. That would not be fair for me to know. Let me tell you what we can do, and you tell me if it's fair. You could leverage that talk track with a second appraisal as well. You could say, hey, look, that's our first appraisal. If that is unacceptable, we certainly want to earn your business right now. Say those words right now. And let me go back to the used car buyer, and let me actually ask our general manager. Let me ask our owner to come out and have a look at the vehicle with me and suggest that what we have first offered is unacceptable based on the information that you have researched. If you find that you're doing this a lot, if every single one of your trade appraisals are being challenged and it is necessary for you to put a little bit more in, then do this. Nip the trades from now on. We know that customers object to one thing always: price. So if you go back to a customer with, say, for instance, your used car manager says the vehicle you're trading in is worth $5,000, you say, I think your vehicle is worth anywhere between $3,500 and $4,500. The only thing that they're going to hear, the customer's going to hear, is the $3,500 and lose their mind because they probably have seen it being sold on Marketplace for $99.95, $10,000. So they're thinking in their mind, if I could get 8, 9 for it, it's probably a good deal for me. I don't have to go through the hassle of selling it myself. And you've got to be calm and say, look, that's the range. I think your vehicle is really nice. I would be expecting at least $4,000 to $4,500 in terms of a vehicle appraisal. But I just thought I'd present that number to you initially just to get your reaction. I can see that it is not acceptable. And what I'd like to do is put it through a formal appraisal process. As opposed to, right, if you're finding a challenge with trade-ins all the time, as opposed to just walking back with your appraisal in hand and saying, look, this is what it's worth, and expecting the customer to just simply be happy with that, that's not how it's going to work. Negotiation is an act. You need to play it up. Let me show you how a trade-in should come in. Now, we didn't do a whole lot of work to this to bring it up to what it looks like right here. That's how you need to present your vehicle to us. In order for me to get as close to retail selling price, which is what I know that you've used as your research to determine what is worth. When you put the words in their mouth, it eliminates and reduces negotiation. Like just squashes it. And customers actually close themselves because they look at it and they go, this just makes sense. This is so easy to do, which is so terrific to hear. Anyhow, features and specifications. So when the vehicle is missing features, and this is particularly with brand new vehicles in short supply, why are they moving towards the new vehicle? Because when you find out their why, you've just identified the hot button. So the why could be that to a really good friend, this is what happened to him. He started working for, all-weather floor mats. And the owner of the company really liked the guy, and the guy was young at the time. He said, go get a decent vehicle. He was driving a Cadillac, and he said, go buy a luxury vehicle. When you're going to see my clients, especially a Jaguar, and they were selling corporately. They were selling to the whole entire OE. He wasn't a salesperson going around to Van and Truck World and Canadian Tire. He was going to the head office to sell those WeatherTech floor mats. So he purchased a Mercedes-Benz E-Class. thinking that's a nice luxurious vehicle. And it was the 430 model, so it was the V8 edition, and it was an elegance, so it was the high trim level. And he shows up to his boss, and the boss said, "What did you buy?" And he said, "That's what I bought right there." And he said, and the boss said, "That's not a luxury automobile. So this is what you're going to do." And with that, the boss called the Mercedes-Benz dealer close to them and said, "Hey, my guy's coming in. Take this E-Class, which is unacceptable and on trade, and put him in an S-Class." And then, of course, he had the payments to pay on that, which was a business expense through the company. But I just found that absolutely astonishing that a boss would have that much, that be that bold. But that's what makes them boss and entrepreneurs, right? Taking those risks. And, of course, it certainly did help my friend who was now driving around do his job, right? Every single morning he had to wake up, and in order to drive that lovely car and make the payments, he had to get in and see the right people who would buy their products. And he did, by the way, land that Jaguar account. Really finding out the why is crucial. The colors and options. Color is the toughest one of the entire bunch, right beside price. If they're not getting the color that they want, they probably won't buy. So finding out those second and third choice colors, absolutely critical. And then ask him, if you don't even have second and third choice colors, say, "This is the only vehicle I have. Is color the one thing that would stop you from buying it?" You are up against a competitor. It's probably, number one, assume that you can safely assume that it is in your product line, and now they're comparing that other car. If it's a pre-owned vehicle, it's probably going to be similar price, especially if it is a different model. Now you got to refine it down to condition, mileage, and then obviously cost of ownership. Or they say, "Let me think about it." And you say, "Let me give you all the information you need to think about. What are you comparing us to?" They go, "Well, my cousin, my uncle, my brother, my neighbor, my coworker has a BMW and an Audi, and I'm thinking about buying that." You can now share with them why your vehicle would be a better choice, and whether they agree with you or not is a mute subject. I find this one works the best. If you won a contest and those two vehicles were the prize, which one would you take? That I find is a whole lot better. I mean, I know the answer. If they're calling me, if they're standing in front of me, email a little bit more difficult to do it with, but if they're standing in front of me, unquestionably, they want my product. That's an easy one. Let's get to maintenance and repairs. High cost of maintenance for luxury vehicles and for aging vehicles, right? When somebody's comparing your pre-owned with something that is 2, 3, or 4 years older on Marketplace, AutoTrader, Car Pages, and has a higher trim level and has more features such as turbo diesel engine, multi-speed transmission, better towing capacity, higher trim level. That's where you can really share with them what the cost of maintenance and ownership, and include fuel economy in that equation as well. That you know what the fuel economy of your vehicle is. You may have to go to Edmunds.com, grab the fuel economy of that to compare apples to apples. That isn't an actual comparison. They may actually find in the Northern Hemisphere, especially during inclement weather driving, that the fuel economy of that vehicle isn't as good. So you can lean on Facebook groups, you can lean on website groups and blogs and forums such as 705 Trucks, and just type in your search query on fuel economy and maintenance costs of this particular vehicle or this particular engine and transmission and rear end. You may come up with some really great information there that can help help the buyer make the decision that you want them to make. And then, of course, I really want to come up with some great telephone training, objection handling processes for you. So with respect to telephone or in person, it all comes down to the relationship, right? You need to build a relationship as much as you possibly can. There is no sale without the relationship. Always think of it in that capacity. No sale without the relationship. For the service department, this is the easiest and fastest way when I'm asked to help do any service, fix ops training, especially in the drive-through. If you meet a customer that you do not know, never spoke to them before, and try to sell them all of your goods, services, and wares, you'll probably offend them. You'll jeopardize your credibility. You'll be seen as a commission fang drooling, commission breath salesperson, and the client will probably only want the oil change that they asked for, even though they should get everything else done. What I always recommend in that particular case, when you get that first customer in that you've never met and seen before, whether they purchase the vehicle at our dealership or anywhere else, is we only do the service that they're asking for. And in most cases, it's simply to switch over the winter tires or the summer tires and or do an oil change. On the second visit, based on proving ourselves, now we can do the vehicle report card and share with them the condition of their vehicle. Now, I know the manufacturer stipulates and wants us to always, and I was one of the advocates in going out and doing the teaching and training, always do a vehicle report card with every single visit, 1st to 10th. That first visit is so critical to build the relationship. And that's what we do on the phone. When we answer the call, number one, having that little mirror in front of your desk that you can put a smile on your face, that builds rapport out of the gate. You don't get a second chance to make a great first impression. And then, of course, building the relationship, finding out what they're looking for, what they're currently driving. And of course, you can do part of your interview process there, find out what they're paying on the vehicle they're currently driving, and if that is in fact what they want to accomplish by going to the new vehicle moving forward. All of which are the hot buttons that help you determine how this client is making the decision to buy right now. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I see average ordinary salespeople do is active listening. So repeating back, not parroting, but repeating back to everybody what the client is asking for, crucial on phone calls. So make sure that you include that as well. Providing information, not too much information, but only providing the information that the customer is asking about. When we provide information that has not been requested, we're actually creating a little bit of cognitive dissonance. We're actually pushing the customer away. So when a customer calls in and asks, do you have any blue vehicles on the lot? And I don't mean vehicles, I mean in brackets vehicles. So put your trim level in. Do you have any blue vehicles? Your response is not, yes, I have 36 of them and they're all really nicely equipped with heated steering wheel, heated seats, air-conditioned seats, and da-da-da-da-da. The answer to the question when they call in is yes. And that's it. And we have found this to be more effective than any other talk track that we have possibly dreamt up and tested. Just simply answer the question and then go silent. Because guess what? They're going to ask another question. And isn't that the purpose of calling in the first place? To get answers to their questions. So be sure that you do this on a regular basis. Just answer the question. Wait for the next question. If they were to say something, okay, thanks so much. Maybe I'll come in and see you. Go, okay, well, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Just to understand my thinking, you are currently shopping for, and you're driving what? And will you be trading that vehicle in? And can you tell me how much mileage it is? Or when you say that you're going to stop by and see you, then can we set a specific date and time? Because otherwise I will probably be so busy. This is the second quarter of the year. This is our time to make hay while the sun is shining. We should not have an open calendar where anyone can willy-nilly just walk in and see us. Naturally, we must do that. Customers don't know. And of course, they think they're number one, as they are when they walk in. But when they're calling in, when they're emailing in, we should not leave them with the impression that we're sitting around twiddling our thumbs waiting for them to show up. Here's the problem with going 2 or 3 days out. They cool off. So you want to book them as fast as you possibly can in the next 3 hours. Then your second best scenario is the next day. And then your third best scenario is 72 hours. At the 72-hour mark, we start to lose them. I've shown you the upside down bell graph before. They start considering their best case and their worst case scenario at that point in time, and then you've lost them. So try and get them within the next 3 hours, within the next day, and then worst case scenario within the next 72 hours. And setting appointments is where you create a custom. Now, a custom is something that we do instinctively, automatically, without having being asked to do it. So when you don't follow a customary procedure, it rather suggests that you may be unconsciously incompetent in that scenario, which means you don't know how good or how bad you might be at something, but you look like a turkey. You look like a dummy. So in this particular case, when we create a custom for appointments that show, your custom may be, when did you plan on driving it? When did you plan on coming in and seeing the color and the combinations? When did you plan on wanting to know exactly what the monthly payments would be? When would you like to pick up that information? Right? Not when would you like me to email it to you? They're going to ask. But the bottom line is, when would you like to see it? When would you like to experience that? When would you like to drive it? You know, when did you plan on checking those boxes off your list before you're ready to make the decision? Makes it customary that this is the step that they should be doing. And if they think it's customary, they'll actually follow through on it. Which then your next step would be, do you know where the dealership is? And then you read them directions of how they get into the dealership. That works wonders on the phone. Suggesting specific times works very well too. We've talked about that, and sharing your calendar. Confirming the details. Excuse me, pardon me. Confirming the details is one of the biggest mistakes that I see average ordinary salespeople make. And I'm sure you folks aren't doing that, but you really want to reiterate by saying something along the lines of, do you have a pen and paper handy? Write this down. They think they are going to be writing down the day and time of the appointment. What you want them to write down is your name and telephone number. Because if they walk into reception and they do not remember your name, then you're not going to get credit for that sale. This is the reason why you want them to write your name down. You want them to write your telephone number down, specifically your cell phone number down, so that in the event that they are late or not going to be able to keep their appointment, that they can shoot you a quick text and say, I'm going to have to reschedule. And that way it frees your time up for a walk-in, a call-in, or go to your email and your sequence to be able to fill your pipeline with more shoppers. That is crucial to do. Closing on the call. Now, when you attempt to sell them on the call, you accomplish two things. It becomes customary that when they call you, and they knew this when they were calling, that you could do this. You could sell them before they're actually ready to buy, and that may be the reason why they're using the medium rather than just walking in to see you. They're afraid you could sell them. That is not, sit down, relax. That's not because you're so amazing, you're so great at sales. As much as you think, yeah, that's me, Bill. Pound your chest all you want. That is not the case. I am not saying that. What is happening is that they are so emotional and excited that they could easily be talked into it. And that's the reason why they use the medium as opposed to driving in to see you. However, they may be coming from a long distance away. You are showing the product in your inventory because remember, they do this research long before they ever contact us. And there's an opportunity for you to button up this sale right there. If it is a high demand, low supply product, I think that's a mute subject for all of us. That's easy to do. You can share with them how quickly it will sell. If they have any interest in it, we want to finalize it now, create a bill of sale, put a deposit down, at which point we can hold the vehicle until they get there for a specified period of time. You can't hold it indefinitely. That's unfair to your colleagues. They're on the floor as well. So trying to close them on it could be something as simple as, if we could agree on the price right now, would you like to know that your shopping is done? It's just a matter of completing the credit application, knowing that you're approved for financing, and we can move forward. If they say yes to that, then I really think the most important thing is not even agreeing on the price. The most important thing is knowing that they could get financing, at which point you need to have a process for this, a seamless transition into the business office. That could be your business manager, could be of the opinion, just send them the credit application, tell them to fill it out. It could be a more elaborate process where you transfer the call to the business manager who will do an over-the-phone turnover and take the credit application, go ahead and sell them all the other accessories and benefits that the business office has to offer, and then we get the client approved. What I see us falling short on when we ask for the deal on the phone, we get a deposit, we haven't completed the paperwork, the actual bill of sale, and we definitely have no idea whether they're going to be able to finance it. They're thinking in their mind, oh, great. Now I've got to drive all the way in there, and then I've got to go through the post-sale procedure of the business office. Then I've got to wait 3 days to be able to pick it up. You know, this is what I don't like about buying automobiles. You see how easy it is to close? If you think about it in the customer's perspective, I'm calling to see if you've got, that is what I want. Would you like to button it up right now? Do you see any reason why you wouldn't be approved for our most preferred interest rate on our most preferred term? No, no, yes, yes, no, yes. Great. Then what I'd like to do is now take the credit application or pass you over to the business office or email you the credit application. And let's get that condition fulfilled and out of the way. And in the meantime, I would like to suggest that you put a deposit down so we can hold the car while the financing is going through. Again, there's the bad guy, the financing, the bank that they'll never meet. This is how easy it is for you to close deals on the phone without just simply asking for a deposit to hold the vehicle till they can get down and then go through our convoluted, time-consuming 8 steps to the sale. This customer may not want to come in. And then, of course, a professional farewell. Leave the call on an upbeat and a professional tone. Thank them so much for calling in. Repeat their name, the contact information that you have from them. Confirm the information that you're going to send to them. Tell them to look for an email. Check their spam folder frequently. Tell them to add you to their contacts, either in their phone, ideally in their phone, but, pardon me, excuse me, on their desktop as well, and their laptop and their tablet, whatever they're communicating from. Add you to their contacts so that your emails do not fall into spam, that you are a trusted source.